I'm Greg Hunter. Welcome to USAWatchdog.com. My next guest is a bit of a regular. I'm leaning on him heavy with all these legal challenges. We're up to 271 lawsuits basically against Donald Trump and his administration. 271. We haven't even gone 6 months into his administration. 271 lawsuits. Now, add on insurrection and unrest of unrest, and the person who said that would happen is my next guest. I'm going to hold it before we get to there. Let's look here to the mayor of Los Angeles. This is Karen Burn It Down Bass. Threatens feds withdraw from L.A. or the violence will escalate. So Trump doubles down with a threat to invoke the Insurrection Act. The guest who said that this would turn into violence is none other than Larry Klayman. Larry Klayman, famed attorney at freedomwatchusa.org. He started Judicial Watch, but he has freedomwatchusa.org. Larry Klayman, great call. Thanks for joining us today on USAWatchdog.com.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate your having me on. It's a very, very dire period. Yes, we did predict it. We knew it was coming. This is more than an insurrection. This is a Bolshevik-style revolution. Not just the Bolsheviks, but every conceivable radical leftist group, financed undoubtedly by people like George Soros. And frankly, I don't understand, Greg, why the government says they still can't figure it out. I mean, it reminds me they can't figure out why there were 2 assassination attempts on Donald Trump. They can't figure out why they can't release documents on Epstein. They can't figure out why we still don't know who killed Martin Luther King for sure, or JFK. They can't figure it out, but the American people can figure it out. And President Trump is doing a great job. He's sending the military into Los Angeles, where I spend time as well. And I can tell you, he needs to do that. But you know what? He doesn't get the correct information either. He's kept in the dark. But we are in effect in a Bolshevik-style revolution right now. I say, let them start it. It's time for us to finish it peacefully and legally.
Let's stay with the mayor. I mean, how do these people get elected? She's saying basically to Donald Trump that, have your ICE officers and stop doing deportations of illegal aliens and criminal aliens. And they're all here. Well, they're just trying to support their families. They broke the law to come here, but they're concentrating on the worst of the worst. And they've gone off the rails. They've gone crazy. Why are they going off the rails? Are they doing that badly? I mean, they have 271 cases against Donald Trump, but it seems like he is wiggling his way out. He's the Teflon Don. They used to say that for somebody else, but he's the new Teflon Don, where it doesn't really stick to him. Why are they going crazy in your estimation, where they're ramping up multi-cities and organizational stuff, and they got ads out in newspapers? They supposedly, allegedly, one of the heirs of Walmart is giving these full face masks by the truckload, so they can't be pepper sprayed. Why are they ramping this up to the level they're wrapping up now, just 4 months, 5 months in, with almost 6 months into the presidency of Donald Trump?
Well, if you can believe this, before I even get into that, but there's a concrete reason for that, and I don't think it's in dispute, but Karen Bass is a DEI affirmative action mayor in Los Angeles. She was actually going to be Biden's second choice to be vice president, God forbid. If her IQ surpasses 70, you're pushing it, number one. They're using her. The left is using her. They're using Newsom. They're using others. They want there to be some kind of a tragedy in LA. They want there to be kind of like a Kent state where someone gets killed, one of these protesters, by either the National Guard or the military. This will be the flashpoint to carry forth what I'm just saying is the Bolshevik revolution. If you can take this country down to ground zero, and you don't even need that kind of a tragedy. This is what they're trying to do. Destabilize the country, bring these radicals out. Undoubtedly, there's foreign money that's involved, probably from communist China, probably from the Islamic Republic of Iran, North Korea. Otherwise, there's probably money coming from the left with Soros and others. They want this country at a point of being destroyed. Then they take control. That's their motivation. That's what happened in Russia when we had the Bolshevik revolution. That's what happened in China with Mao. This is a plan. It's a playbook. And that's why we need to push back. And it's why President Trump needs to crush this right now to make an example of what's going on. And frankly, he should have Governor Gavin Newsom arrested. He should have Karen Bass arrested. They're inciting violence. They are fomenting revolution, and they should be arrested. Don't be afraid of it. Let's do it. You know, it's ironic. We don't want to be like communist China and Tiananmen Square, believe me. Okay, I was in China a year after that, and I can tell you that people were scared. They still wouldn't talk. But you know what? The Chinese don't put up, excuse the French, with this bullshit, and neither does anybody else. Putin wouldn't put up with it. And I'm not talking about destroying our democracy or republic or our due process or anything else.
We're under attack.
We're under attack. When this thing arises, you deal with it. If President Trump needs to declare martial law, do that right now. Nip it in the bud. Don't let it continue, because this is being fomented by the left. And as far as Freedom Watch, which you can go to at freedomwatchusa.org and contribute to our cause, we need to bring citizens' grand juries. We need to prosecute these people. The people need to hold them accountable. We have the right to do it. Citizens' justice, peaceful and legal, and they need to be put away where the sun don't shine. Newsom and Karen Bass, just among many others. You can talk about Governor Tim Walz, Tim Putt, Tampon Tim, or you can talk about Pritzker, you know, the guy who, you know, is so fat that he can't see the rest of his body parts. No offense, and nothing, you know, meant that way. The fact is that these people are trying to create revolution. They are vile. They're disgusting. They are socialists, they're communists, they're atheists, they're every radical group, and they want to take control of this country. And it's time for the American people to support President Trump, but we also need to do it for ourselves. He can't do everything. Like you pointed out, he has 271 cases and counting, including a new one that was just brought by Gavin Newsom to try to usurp his executive authority in California. And I can guarantee you that case was filed in San Francisco. It'll be funneled to a leftist judge. Trump will be enjoined, and he should simply ignore any injunction, because the judge will have absolutely no authority to tell him what to do.
Oh, I want to come back to this. That's if he brings it into martial law. Is that right?
Yes.
Or the Insurrection Act, or both.
Correct.
We'll talk about that in just a minute. Hold on just a minute. I want to just go to this real quick. I want to talk about my sponsor. This is the wellness company, ivermectin, mebendazole. It's mebendazole, and it's a heck of a combination. This is for a parasite cleanse. There are, 60 million people in America with parasites. This has been a big seller for them. It's high quality. It's real medicine. It's done by the wellness company. It's $5.99, but you get 15% off and free shipping when you use the promo code USAWatchdog. Also, my guests have told me about this combination. It's also used in off-label cancer treatment, and there is peer-reviewed studies. Dr. Peter McCullough brought this up, that things like ivermectin and mebendazole are being used for cancer treatment. People like Dr. Betsy Eads and Dr. Pierre Corey, who treat vax injury patients, they're using this for vax injury as well. And this is something that you can get right away. It's good quality. It's 90-day supply. There are 90 pills. For the parasite cleanse, it's only 21 days, and you're done with that. The other thing that I want to bring up is Tax Network USA. Tax Network USA, incredible company. We have the taxes have come and gone, but you can still get in trouble with your taxes. They have 5,000 tax liens a day. I didn't know that. 5,000 a day. They can garnish your wages. They can take your home. They can take your business. They can do all kinds of things. But I want to tell you that with the Trump administration in, they had 87,000 armed agents. Okay. They had them armed with 40 caliber. They had all kinds of guns, ammunition, millions of rounds. They were going to send people out, and I think do a giant countrywide J6. They're not going to do that anymore. I think they want to cut a deal, especially with the unrest in America. I think the people at Tax Network USA want to cut a deal. That's Don Jr. There's no way he'd be involved in a fraud. You can talk to them for free. They won't settle your tax case for free, but you can talk to them for free. 800-958-1000, Tax Network USA. I think they're in a position, the IRS, where they would rather cut a deal than throw you in jail. And I think that's where they are right now. That's where their heads are. So I would take them up on that. With everything going on, don't be another headache for the government. And I think they don't need any more headaches. But anyway, back to Larry Klayman. Larry, tell me about the difference between the Insurrection Act and martial law. I mean, Insurrection Act is one level, and martial law is top level
No,
control.
it's the flip side of the same coin. They're both exercised when there's an emergency. Now here, we do have an insurrection. We have also the inability of the state and local government to quell the violence. And our law requires that the federal government step in when local law enforcement can't handle it. And it's been admitted by Karen Bass that they can't handle it. It's been admitted by the police chief in LA that they can't handle it. Yeah, and so
just so you know, I don't know why. Maybe he did this for a reason. He went on camera and said, "We are overwhelmed." He actually came out, the police chief of LA, overwhelmed.
And then the police were told to stand down initially, not to do anything. They're chafing at the bit to do things. I can tell you the LA police is a tough bunch, and they want to do stuff. The Beverly Hills police, same thing. I remember years ago I met with the chief of the Beverly Hills police. He's quite conservative, by the way, but he has to be careful what he says. It's Beverly Hills. And he says, I arrest these people, and the DA lets them out immediately. Well, now there's a new DA, okay? But he's not terribly strong either, frankly. But that's the problem that the police have. They can't do their job. And now they're being pelted with rocks, Molotov cocktails. Somebody that was supporting a MAGA hat was attacked and bloodied up. I mean, you can't walk through Los Angeles today with anything that smacks of being a supporter of President Trump and not fear for your life. This is a fact. I remember years ago, because I spend time out there. Freedom Watch has an office out there. But I would have American lapel flag pin, and people would say, "Oh, you have American flag lapel pin. You must be a Trump supporter." I remember one time in a cafe, the Brighton Cafe, some guy sees my inauguration jacket of Donald Trump, and he says, "Oh, you're one of them, right?" And I said to him, this is years ago after the 2016 elections, I said, I'd like to eat my breakfast. I'll tell you something. But there's going to be one side that wins and one side that loses. And I hate to tell you, you're the side that's going to lose, okay? And that's what Trump has to basically tell them. You're going to lose. There's a consequence for doing what you're doing. You just can't walk away like Black Lives Matter did. You can't walk away like Antifa. You can't walk away like these anarchists did. Now is the time to arrest them, lock them up, fence them, or send them to Guantanamo, or build fences or whatever. Put them in there, try them, give them their due process, and then put them away for a very, very long time. Because, as I said, this is not just a bunch of people that are concerned about ICE enforcing our law. These are foreign financed entities that want to destabilize this country, whether it's the radical Palestinians, and they're good Palestinians, but these are the radical Palestinians, or whether it's, Chinese infiltrators from communist China, or North Korea, or Iran. Iran is likely behind at least one of the assassination attempts at Butler with President Trump. I mean, it was reported then that they had sent hit squads. But this is what's important. Now, we need to try them. Okay, they need to be convicted, and they need to be held accountable. And Biden needs to be held accountable. Kamala Harris needs to be held accountable. Karen Bass needs to be held accountable. Gavin Newsom, people like Tampon Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, the governor of Illinois, this guy Pritzker, and the mayor of Boston. They all need to be locked up and put away. And if the government isn't going to do it, because frankly, I don't think that even the Trump Justice Department has the guts to do it, we need to try them ourselves, and we need to hold them accountable. They need to be sentenced, and there need to be citizens' arrests peacefully and legally.
Well, now we're hearing about Al-Qaeda leader calls for Muslims in America to launch terror attacks and assassinate President Trump and his cabinet. And this is way more than, the ICE agents are doing their job. This is you're saying that this is a full-on domestic internal attack on America.
That's correct. And it's not just the radicals in this country. We got plenty of them. Remember the underground and that there are many radicals in this country. But I believe this is mostly foreign fomented and financed. They want to destabilize this country.
Is this because of the I mean, just because of the terrorists? This is because of Donald Trump? This is because that we're not going to play the New World Order, the globalists. You know, he got us out of the Paris Climate Accord, according to my friend Alex Newman. He got us out of the WHO, but that's, you know, for this term, for the next 4 years. We got us out of that garbage. We got Chinese, now 3, that were importing a dangerous fungus that can destroy our crops, and if you eat it, can destroy, you know, all kinds of internal organs for you. We are people. Do people realize how much of an attack we are under right now? Are they making their move right now? Is this it?
Yeah, they're making their move. And it was building. You know, Greg, let's go back several months. We predicted this. You and I predicted this. We knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of time. And it built and it built and it built. And now they see that Trump, regardless of these federal judges, and of course we're addressing that too, we're going to hold them accountable, and we are holding them accountable with our citizens' grand juries and such. They see that now is the time that Trump is actually at the point of possibly succeeding. So they're going to do a number on the president of the United States. And look, he's in negotiations right now with the Iranian regime. And the Iranian regime is not going to give way, and they're going to continue enriching uranium. They know that ultimately we'll be backed into a corner, and we're going to have to attack them along with Israel. This is a last-ditch effort to try to eliminate President Trump and to try to weaken our country before that occurs. And I hope that President Trump uses the same approach and strategy with Iran that he's using with these protesters, because there's no point in discussing anything with Iran. There's no reason there. They are fanatics. They don't even like their own people. Their own people want to be rid of them. They hate Sunni Muslims. Saudis, the other Gulf states, want them gone. They're cheering Israel on and the United States to attack them. And now is the time to do it. So it needs to be understood that this is not, it's not exclusive. So, is that it's all tied together.
So you think Trump is on the verge of being more and more successful? I mean, they just had a CNN poll. I mean, CNN hates him, but they got one guy there, Harry something or other, saying, hey, his popularity is going up with his policy on deportations. And so you think that this is happening because this is a sign of Trump succeeding, not failing.
That's right. So they figured now they've got to pull the trigger, literally. And that's what they're doing. They're pulling the trigger. It's violent. And if you are a citizen in Los Angeles or any major city in this country, and even, you know, other cities in rural areas, you better arm up now. That's why we have Second Amendment rights. Let me tell you what else is legit. In the Second Amendment, there's a right to commission militias. Militia is not a dirty word. And consequently, I think that we need to start doing that, not to be offensive, but to be defensive. It's time that we have a return to citizen militias like we did in the days leading up to our first revolution. This now is a counter-revolution on our part because the left has started. If they started it, it's time for us to finish it. Again, defensively, peacefully, and legally. But we need to rise up. We need to rise up there as partners to President Trump. And that's why I want people to support Freedom Watch at freedomwatchusa.org. We just can't sit there and have our feet up on the coffee table sipping, you know, Mai Tais, you know, or martinis and say, hey, Trump will take care of it. No, we, the American people, need to go out there and do it ourselves. And we actually have a peaceful militia that we formed years ago at freedomwatchusa.org. It was never put into effect because we were never at this point. But now is the time to actually commission them for defensive purposes, not offensive.
What about all these reports? I hear that the heiress of Walmart is paying for these full-face masks by the truckload. I mean, can she get in trouble for that? I mean, she is basically aiding and abetting an insurrection in America. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I don't know that specifically, but if that's happening, then certainly.
That's what some of the reports are. I can't prove that. Okay, I can't.
Now all these people.
But all these trucks are pulling up with these masks that they sell at Walmart. Is it Walmart or is it? But somebody is providing these people. Can these people get in trouble for basically helping them with an insurrection?
Yes, that's an overt act. It's not just speech. That's an overt act of insurrection. That's an overt act of obstructing our justice system. And these judges should get into trouble too. They should be arrested as well, these federal judges that are violating the law and allowing this to happen, frankly. So, it's not that I'm looking for a counter-revolution that is violent. No, the opposite. Arrest them, try them, give them their due process, and they should be tried in citizens' courts, not in regular courts, because if they're in regular courts, which is what the Justice Department would attempt to do, and I love Pam Bondi and what she's doing, but it'll go in front of these same judges. Look at what's been happening all over the country, in particular in the District of Columbia. And Trump was very critical last week of Leonard Leo, the head of the Federalist Society, that fed to him names of rhino Republican judges that have no guts that have been finding against him. The Federalist Society is basically a lobbying group. They're paid money to put these names forward.
Have you been telling the Trump administration about his judicial appointments that you want to help him pick them? And this is one of the things you want to do for Pam Bondi, the Justice Department, and President Donald Trump. Is that right?
Yes, that's one of the things that we're doing. I have very prominent people on our advisory committee. We'll be announcing it formally very soon. I've got people like Alan Keyes. I've got people like Representative Nancy Mace. I've got lawyers like Bob Barr. I've got some very notable people here. We want to reform the legal system, but we also want to set up a system that we can vet judges. So we get good judges on the bench, not bad judges. I have a five-part plan that I came out with when I ran for the Senate in Florida. Number one, before you become a judge, you go to judge school for a year. You get a master's degree. So you're not like Dr. Strangelove on the bench, doing a Zig Heil based on your prior experience. You should be psychologically tested. There should only be 4 2-year terms, renewable for good behavior. There's nothing in the Constitution that gives judges life tenure. They should be required to buy insurance. If they make a negligent or reckless decision, they should have to pay for it, just like lawyers in malpractice, and arbitrate it, because the average citizen can't afford to take an appeal, can't afford to go to the Supreme Court. It costs thousands of dollars just to get your brief printed at the Supreme Court. These are the kinds of things that we can be doing, and we need to do it top to bottom. So that's why we have this new Department of Judicial and Legal Accountability, which is a complement to DOJ, the Department of Government Efficiency, because we, the American people, need to play a role. We can't leave it all to President Trump. And remember, he's only going to be here for 4 years, God willing, if someone doesn't try to kill him again, and I pray they will not, or Vance, or cabinet members. They're all at significant risk. I was in D.C. just last week. It's a beautiful city. Unfortunately, it's rotting from within, and it's become the murder capital, along with my place of birth, Philadelphia, in this country. And it's sad. Every major city, Greg, whether it's Los Angeles, if you think Los Angeles is bad, Los Angeles is conservative compared to what you get in Portland, Oregon, Seattle, or Boston, or Chicago. Chicago with that mayor with the pointed head, okay, who's got a 6% approval rating. It's going to spread, and that's why Trump's trying to nip it in the bud, and he needs our help to do it. So I hope people will support us at freedomwatchusa.org, because we're not afraid. And I'll say what needs to be said, so will you, because you cannot be afraid. This is a do or die life experience for the American people, because today it's in Los Angeles. Tomorrow it's going to be right up against you in your hometown and in your neighborhood.
Tell me about the difference between, you've been saying he should invoke martial law. Tell me what happens happens under the Insurrection Act. Can he do that across the whole country, or can he do that just in?
He can do it for the whole country, but he should start locally and then expand it. Okay.
You think he should do that in Los Angeles right now?
Yes, I do.
And what does that mean to Governor Newsom and Mayor Burn It Down? What's her name?
They should order the arrest of both of them. Okay, they are fomenting.
But they say they're not going to do that. Tom Homan says he's not going to do that. So what does it look like? What does the Insurrection Act look like? What happens?
Well, the president can invoke it. He can order their arrest. He controls the Justice Department, and he should do that, just like they did with that judge who allowed an illegal immigrant to leave. It's time to set an example. Let them be tried. Okay, let it be out in the open as to what happens. But these people can't do this kind of thing. They've given away their authority by recognizing that they can A, violate immigration laws, and B, tell the people to fight back against federal officials. In effect, what they're saying is it's okay to throw Molotov cocktails and to harm MAGA supporters and others. It's perfectly fine to harm the police. It's perfectly fine to harm the military. That cannot be permitted. I'm sorry, that cannot be permitted. It's okay to say you can peacefully protest, but they're in effect saying you go out there and do what you think you have a right to do and harm other people. That is not legal, and that is a crime.
Okay, then tell me about martial law. Does that shut down the courts? Does that shut down the judges? I mean, the Insurrection Act's one level, martial law, boom, everything gets shut down. No more courts, no more, I mean, rights.
Shut down.
Tell me what happens under martial law.
Yeah, it can be shut down. That's exactly what can be happen for a limited period of time. And look, I'm not someone that believes in dictatorships. I'm someone who's been a lawyer for almost 50 years. I'm someone who, hopefully I don't look that old, I'm someone who always believed in the court system, but it doesn't work anymore. And now you've got Bar Disciplinary Council in the District of Columbia in New York. They're trying to eliminate conservative lawyers. This clown, vile leftist, Hamilton Fox, they just filed 2 bar complaints against Ed Martin, and he's in charge of anti-weaponization. And then they publicize it illegally. I've been fighting the DC Bar Disciplinary Apparatus for 14 years. Giuliani, disbarred. John Eastman, a law professor that represented Trump in the 2020 aftermath of the elections. Senator Josh Hawley, Senator Ted Cruz, Kellyanne Conway, Sidney Powell, you name it.
Have they all lost their law license?
No,
I know Giuliani did, which is awful.
But here's what they do. They bring so many cases that they tie you up from other things that you can be doing, and they bleed you dry financially. So even if they don't win in the end, and even if you can hold them off, they win. So this is why our legal system, frankly, has no legitimacy anymore. The Supreme Court, the trust of the people in the Supreme Court is extremely low. Outside of the media, media is number one. Okay, nobody trusts the media on either side. Number 2 is Congress. Number 3 is the Supreme Court. Can you believe that? That's what a poll shows. Nobody has any trust in the Supreme Court. They know there are a bunch of political hacks in robes up there. They know that. Occasionally they make a correct decision, but usually they just break along party lines without regard to our Constitution or the law. The country is in a state of anarchy. We have a Constitution, but no one follows the Constitution. The Constitution has become a joke. It's not a joke, and we need to reestablish it. Years ago, Greg, people can go to our website and see it. We videoed it. We had a Third Continental Congress in Philadelphia, right in front of Independence Hall, my birthplace. We brought in notable people from around the country. We made certain proposed fine-tuning to our Constitution to reenact it. It was the Second Continental Congress that gave rise to our Constitution. This is the Third Continental Congress. We need to do something like that again and reestablish the authority of our own legal system. But our legal system, President Trump's not in control of our legal system. You've seen it. He's been enjoined 60% of the time or more by these leftist judges, sometimes George W. Bush rhino judges, and sometimes his own judges that he appointed with false information that was provided to him by the Federalist Society and American Conservative Union. These so-called rhino Republican lobbyists to make money off of making recommendations. That's how they exist. That's how they thrive. How do you become a federal judge? With huge campaign contributions and other forms of grease. And so what we get on the bench are a bunch of political hacks. There are some exceptions. There are some good federal judges, very few and far between. State judges are better. They're elected. They can be removed. They're not perfect either. They make mistakes. There's a problem there as well. But first, we have to clean up the mess on the federal bench. And the system does not exist anymore, Greg. We have no legal system that functions. It's corrupt top to bottom.
What about the judges that say they have immunity? Is that in the Constitution? Do judges have immunity?
I'm glad you brought that up because no, they do not. And the Constitution does not provide for immunity. It's not in legislation. The Supreme Court years ago came along in a case, I forget the name of it right now, and they said, well, Constitution says that we follow the common law. So what do? They go to the common law of King George III. Yeah, we know what happened with him. Okay. He gave his judges immunity so they could rubber stamp his illegal edicts, which is the reason that we declared independence. And it's the reason why he then declared war on us. So the Supreme Court disingenuously, dishonestly says, we're giving ourselves immunity, and we'll give immunity to all the lower court federal judges. And then along comes state bar disciplinary council, prosecutors in various states, and they say, oh, we'll give ourselves immunity too.
So whoa. So this is why, Larry, you say that the judicial system is completely broken. This is why we have 270 some odd cases against Donald Trump. This is why we have federal judges doing crazy. There's no penalty.
No penalty because there's no way, there's no recourse. And you have Congress that does nothing. Okay. The president has threatened to arrest certain federal judges too, and that's appropriate. Pam Bondi should proceed further than what she's done. But you have Jim Jordan, head of the House Judiciary Committee, Republican, rhino, raising money on Fox News every night nearly, hasn't called one judge in front of the House Judiciary Committee, hasn't sought to impeach one judge. They have this phony legislation they send up, which doesn't do anything, and they want to take the monkey off their back. So it's time for the American people to rise up. It's time to do it through a group like Freedom Watch at freedomwatchusa.org. We need your help. We need the contributions, tax deductible. We need to get bigger. We need more lawyers. We need more investigators. We need to actually try these people ourselves in citizens' courts, like Wyatt Earp, meted out justice in the Old West. In 1992, Greg, Justice Scalia, in a decision, I've said this before, United States versus Williams, ruled the grand jury belongs to the American people, not the three branches of government. We need to be President Trump's complement, his hamburger helper. We need to be with him. We can't let him do it all by himself. And we see when it goes the conventional route through the federal courts, we see what happens. He's been blocked nearly every step of the way. And we cannot allow that to happen. So he's doing his part, calling out the National Guard, calling out some Marines. They're training right now, so there isn't a tragedy in LA, so they know how to handle it locally because they're not trained for that. And they'll be deployed shortly. But this needs to be crushed, but also there needs to be justice. And we need to bring about justice with people like Gavin Newsom, Mayor Karen Bass. They've already destroyed the city with regard to the fires. Okay, I mean, I
wanted to move on to Otto Penn. It's unbelievable, but now you're starting to see reports of people were selling Biden's signature. They were selling the legislation. Ron Klain, his former chief of staff, is one of the people mentioned. I don't have any adjudication for this, but Donald Trump says it could be also a high-ranking DOJ official was also using the auto pen. If Bo Pony came on and he said, listen, if it's proven that Biden was completely incapacitated and that people were signing for him, that everything he did will be nullified because fraud vitiates everything. Is that true? Can everything that
it is Biden... It is true. The president should declare it. And let's get back to the immunity. He should have his Justice Department, Office of Legal, his legal advisor at the Justice Department, write an opinion that there's no immunity under our Constitution or any legislation. He should then issue an executive order removing the immunity from all federal judges, federal prosecutors, and the like.
And that way, that would put the kibosh on these crazy decisions where they want Abrego Garcia brought back, even though he's an illegal alien, he's a alleged human trafficker and not a nice guy, and also in two courts said he was an MS-13 gang member. This you're talking about stuff like this, that they can be kicked off the bench for not doing good judicial jurisprudence. Is that right?
Indicted, okay, indicted, arrested, and tried. Indicted, arrested, and tried, and do it in front of, a neutral jury that's fair, or, a judge that is appointed, under the Insurrection Act or under martial law by the president to carry this out. These judges, look, it doesn't matter who they are right now, is that these judges will protect each other. They circle the wagons. Nearly every single one will protect each other. I don't care, Democrat, Republican, or whatever, because there, by the grace of God, go thee. It is time to take action against the federal judiciary. It's time to hold them accountable. It's time to create a new legal system You can take notice and comment from various organizations. It's time to come up with a new system to appoint judges. It's time to join our Department of Judicial and Legal Accountability at freedomwatchusa.org. It's time to reestablish a legal system. That's what we did with regard to the first revolution. It was basically over the fact that the king had taken our criminal justice system back to the court of St. James. We had no legal recourse. We had no choice but to declare independence. To paraphrase the Declaration of Independence, when in the course of human events, the sovereign, the rulers, no longer represent the people have a right under the laws of nature, and nature is God, not the law of the state, not the law of government, to alter or abolish that government and to form a new government by and for the people with equal rights for everyone in pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. If it was good enough for our founding fathers, it's good enough for us. We've arrived at the same point that they did. In fact, I think it's worse today than it was under King George III. King George III was at least a Christian, okay? These people are heathens.
I want to circle back to the auto pen. How bad is the auto pen scandal going to be in your estimation? I think it's bad. I mean, you had Ron Hur, who was at the Justice Department a year before, Biden left office, saying they couldn't charge him because he's a well-meaning old man. Basically, that he wasn't competent is what the inference was. Ron Klain wrote a book. All these Democrats writing books about Biden was they hid it from us. All these journalists. How bad is this auto pen thing?
Oh, it's really bad. It's
How
really
bad?
bad. The question is, can you get the underlying facts? Okay, because Biden, somebody had him say this too, probably by auto pen. It came out. Oh, I gave authority to all that. Well, that's again, excuse the French, bullshit. The guy couldn't even walk straight. He couldn't think straight. How's he giving authority to anybody? And his White House doctor, now they're being too kind to him. I have a lawsuit in Florida against Joe Biden, Jill Biden, the White House doctor, Kevin O'Connor, and Kamala Harris for covering up Biden's condition leading up to the 2020 elections and beyond. That lawsuit is proceeding forward. I'm seeking testimony from all of them. They're screaming like a stuck pig. But the fact is that once you uncover this doctor, it wasn't that he was negligent in not doing these exams. He lied to the American people. Jill Biden put him up to that for her own sense of wanting to be first lady, Miss Big Shot. You get beauticians, you get hairdressers, you get clothes, you get all this other stuff, you get prestige. The American people were sold out. So I doubt that there was much of anything that was ever approved by Joe Biden. And the fact is that pardons, we've got an honest guy in there now, Ed Martin, who was in charge of it. But generally speaking, these pardons are sold by every administration. And at the end of Trump's administration, there were people that tried to sell his pardons, but he was smart enough. And he said, no, I'm not going along with that. These lobbyists come in, I can get you a pardon. It was reported that the head of the American Conservative Union, Matt Schlapp, who's in trouble for other things, allegedly, groping men, tried to sell a pardon for $700,000. That was reported. I don't know if that's true or not. And then never came.
Oh my gosh! So that's common knowledge in the Beltway that other presidents sold pardons for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Well, Trump didn't because he caught it.
I understand that, but
others did. Okay.
And you think the Biden administration was selling pardons?
Yes, I do believe that. People inside the administration were promising pardons for cash, cold cash. Clinton, clearly, Mark Rich, who was holed up in Israel at the time, millions and millions of dollars got him a pardon. Anyway, there's many, many others out there that have done that. The whole system's corrupt. It's a pay-for-play system.
Wow. Larry Klayman at freedomwatchusa.org. There'll be a donation page there, a snail mail address for you as well. That some people who don't like the electronic signature, but wow. Also, the website, freedomwatchusa.org, will be up there. Larry Klayman, it's only been about 40 minutes, but man, what a workout. But thank you very much for joining me today on USA, and I mean that in a good way. Thank you very much. The country's in big trouble.
The good news is the country's in big trouble. The good news is we can do something about it, but we need to rise up. And that's why I ask for your support and other people's support. And people like you will prevent that from happening, that allow the truth to be told and are not afraid.
Thank you, Larry Klayman. Larry Klayman, you're a patriot and a national treasure. Thanks again for joining us on USAWatchdog.com. A shout out to my sponsors. Of course, this is everybody has a phone number, discount gold and silver trading with the price of gold and silver going up. Now, a breakout going on with silver. I've had a lot of people on here saying it's going to go much higher. Bull Pony thinks silver will be actually head turning, mind blowing. It'll go up in price. Here we have always prepared and block all signals. Of course, this is the satellite phone store. The number 855-980-5830 for both. Of course, you have the battery backup power and the sat phones. Also, block all signals. The Faraday bags. This will stop most handgun rounds. Clean water. You have to have it. These filters fit Berkey. Again, there are phone numbers there. 833-379-3536. There were people there. Will come to phone. You can talk to human. Weston Scientific. Just don't trap germs. Kill them naturally. This is the bipolar ionization. We're going to have Weston Warren on to talk about the Black Star and the earthquakes and volcanoes. It's happening all over the world at a much higher rate than anybody is reporting. The wellness company, get life-saving meds now. Of course, you have the parasite cleanse. This is ivermectin and mebendazole. It's 250 mgs of mebendazole and 25 milligrams of ivermectin. A lot of people use it for cancer. You can use it for a parasite cleanse. You can do it for 21 days. There's 90 pills. You get 15% off and free shipping with the promo code USA Watchdog. And last but certainly not least is you have the Tax Network USA. The Tax Network USA right here. Here's their number. They'll help you solve your tax problems, 800-958-1000. They will help you with your taxes. I think the IRS is in the mood to cut a deal. Rather than to be harsh and throw you in jail, and they can do bad things to you. They still have 5,000 tax liens a day, according to published reports. But, that is something that you need to take care of right away, and the Tax Network USA can help you do that. Before I close here, I've got a free email send out service that when I do a new post, like with Larry Klayman, you can sign up for it and you'll get a email saying, hey, there's a new post on. You can find it right at the top of the page. Join. I do not sell my list. If you want to unsubscribe, it's a Weber. A Weber will certainly unsubscribe you in a heartbeat. On the side of the website, same thing. Greg's private messages free of charge. I do not sell my list, and you can unsubscribe at any time. I just want to thank you very much for supporting USA Watchdog and and the comments and your donations. And your donations really help me out. I appreciate you, and I want you to fear not. Really, don't be afraid. I want you to be informed, not afraid. Fear not. God the Father, His Son, Christ Jesus, God the Father, Jehovah, is Christ Jesus, and the Holy Spirit are all firmly in control. And as Jesus says, if that there would be no flesh left if the days were not shortened. So, for the sake of the elect, the days shall be shortened. Make Christ Jesus your Lord and Savior. It's very simple. Just let Him into your heart and let Him be your Lord and Savior. It's that simple. Christ Jesus is for everyone. Thank you again for supporting USAWatchdog.com.